Now, talk about national security. The Security Secretary said that he has evidence of foreign funding, foreign interference in Hong Kong. I heard this 5 years ago when the former chief executive, Mr. C.Y. Leung, came to my show and talked about, during Occupy Central, talked about foreign funding. Until now, I've not seen any evidence of it.
I think if you look at some open source, right, you can see some of the evidence. For example, in last September, I think in the House Foreign Affairs Committee, the head of the U.S. Agency for Global Media, and they have admitted that they fund the protests in Hong Kong. If I tell you there's no foreign interest in Hong Kong, I'm insulting your intelligence. And if you tell the people of Hong Kong that you believe there's no foreign interference in Hong Kong, I think you're insulting the intelligence of Hong Kong people. I think the court is the best forum to discuss about these things, because someone in Hong Kong has been charged with colluding with foreign or external forces to endanger the national security. Someone has been charged, and
they have been charged, but the case has not gone to court yet, right?
They have been charged and pending for a trial, and the details will be disclosed in the court trial in the future.
So then you expect details to be provided for foreign funding when these people go to court,
and there will be evidence to show the collusion. I'm talking about the evidence.
But you can't tell me what it is now.
I mean, it will be condemning the court.
So, but you say there is, but you cannot tell me at this point, right?
No, I said in a lot of open documents you can find those details.
接受媒體處監管嘅開放科技基金董事會主席科恩布勞喺眾議院外交事務委員會嘅聽證會上指，柏克亦都凍結咗國會原本向基金撥出嘅1800萬美元資助，基金要停止喺白俄羅斯嘅運作，以及好多支援香港同伊朗民間嘅活動。屬非牟利組織嘅開放科技基金研發技術協助民主組織避開網上監控，以及免遭截斷互聯網同無線電。但係資金被凍結之後，基金無法再提供呢啲技術支援。有共和黨眾議員指，柏克凍結資金嘅決定危險，將會損害對香港同白俄自由民主運動嘅支持。
So I want to show you something. I want to show you the organizers of these anti-extradition law. They call themselves the Civil Human Rights Front, and I want to show you the members of the organizations of the Civil Human Rights Front.
So these are the protesters.
That's right, the organizers of these protesters.
Okay.
Not all of the protesters are part of these groups, but these are the organizers. We've got the Hong Kong Institute of Human Resource Management, we've got the Hong Kong Confederation of Trade Unions, as well as a number of others. Now, what do all of these organizations that you see listed here have in common?
Tell me.
They're all taking money, and they've all worked with an organization called the National Endowment for Democracy. They've all received funding from this organization. Now, the National Endowment for Democracy has been funding groups in Hong Kong. This goes back to the 90s, but just in the last year, the Hong Kong Institute for Human Resource Management, which is the first thing that you saw on your list there moments ago, got $90,000 in just 1 year, in just 2018, from the National Endowment for Democracy. That's right. So who is this NGO funding these protesters, right? Great question. I'm so glad you asked. So let's listen to Carl Gershman. Here's what he had to say. He was actually the president of the National Endowment for Democracy at the time he said this. He said, "It would be terrible for democratic groups around the world to be seen as subsidized by the CIA. We saw that in the 60s, and that's why it's been discontinued. That's why the endowment was created." So here we have this NGO that's been created to, in a sense, do the CIA's work overtly. And let's hear it from Alan Weinstein, who actually helped draft the legislation to create the NED. Here's how he put it. He put it a bit simpler. He said, a lot of what we do today was done covertly 25 years ago by the CIA. So you don't have to take it from me. You can take it from these men who are involved from the ground up at the National Endowment for Democracy. Here they are saying that this is, in a sense, a front for the CIA itself. And as you know, the CIA loves funding opposition groups.
So Hong Kong is a very strategic place for many of us. These blatant assertions come from video footage from a May 14th gathering at the so-called National Endowment for Democracy in Washington, D.C., where Hong Kong opposition parties held panel discussions, met with top U.S. officials, and begged for money and support. Their trip must have been very successful because, coincidentally enough, violent demonstrations in Hong Kong began shortly thereafter. Let's go back to the Occupy Central demonstrations in Hong Kong in 2014. 5 months before the demonstration began, on April the 2nd to be precise, the opposition parties made a similar trek to the NED, where they also held panel discussions, met with top U.S. officials, and begged for money and support. I'm hoping you can connect the dots.
At that time in 2015 and 16 and 17, I think every year I asked you, what can we do for you? What can we do for you?
This is from Ling Li, Associate Director for NED's Asia program. I think it's safe to say the U.S. never hesitates to jump on an opportunity, especially when it smells blood and there is a chance to destabilize China. Can you guess which country is currently one of its biggest targets? Yes, China. And the NED makes no secret of its separatist goals either. It splits China into 4 parts: Tibet, Xinjiang, Hong Kong, and mainland. Public NED data showed $6.5 million was generously thrown at dissidents, separatists, and extremists in China in 2018. In total, it showed that $29 million was turned over to these forces in China over the past 3 years.
Until now, I've not seen any evidence of it.
If I tell you there's no foreign interest in Hong Kong, I'm insulting your intelligence. And if you tell the people of Hong Kong that you believe there's no foreign interference in Hong Kong, I think you're insulting the intelligence of Hong Kong people.